So let's say we wish to change the text and the labels on the graph according to the guidelines. So what we do is we click on the graph, and first of all we are going to make all the text and the size of all the equations and the text that is written over here on top of the graph to 14. Right? So we click on the equation like this one, and we see that the drawing option has been selected. So what we do is we click on the text tool so that I can select the text, and I select this entire text that I need to change the size of. I select the entire text and I click on the font size and make it 14. This is the first requirement, right? Similarly, I click on the other one and I click on the text tool, and I click on the text that I want to change the size of. I select the entire text and I click on the size and I make it 14. This is the first thing. Secondly, I am going to change the size of these labels, that is X and Y. Right? Now, in the problem, sometimes X and Y are not given. Sometimes time and velocity are given, or pressure and volume are given, right? So I would need to change the labels accordingly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the graph and I click on the plot. I right click on the graph, I go to plot and I go to axis, and then I go to labels, right? So plot, axis, labels, and then I go on to edit the horizontal, right? So this would change the X. So now I select X and I make it bold, and I can even change the size to 12, right? This is the first thing. Secondly, I wish to change the size and the quality of the vertical axis. So I go to plot once again, I go to axis, I go to labels, and I say edit vertical. Now I can select the vertical label, and I can choose 12, and I can make it bold. This is the way I change the labels. I can even change their names, X and Y, to P and V or something like that. Okay. Next, I want to change the size of, or the thickness of these lines. So right now I can't select these lines because I am on the drawing menu. Okay, I can't select these lines because I'm on the drawing menu. So I go to the plot menu. The plot menu is the one that is selected so that I can change the way the lines look. Okay, so I select one line and I right click on it and I go to line and I go to line width. Okay, line width, and I make it 2. Okay, this is the requirement according to the guideline. I make it 2 and I click OK. So now the thickness of the line has increased. Once again, I click on the line and I right click and I go to the line and I go to line width and I increase it to 2. Okay, this is how our graph should look like. Further, one more thing that is needed in creating the graph is adding the title to the graph. Okay, so once we have labeled all the graph, the entire graph properly, I right click on the graph and I go to title and I go to add title. If I do add caption, caption basically creates a title at the bottom of the graph, but I would like to have it on the top. So I click on the add title. Now I can add a title here. So to add a new title here, what we want is to add the title is basically the equation only. So I select the two equations, I copy them, and I click on the new title wherever this new title was, double click on it to once again make it selectable. I select it, delete it, and I paste the two equations. So here what I can say is, I can say graph of. Okay, now these are italics. So I change these italics to regular font and I select the entire thing once again and I can change the size to 14. This is the way we want the graphs to look like, with the proper labeling and a proper title on top.